What's up, everybody? I'm Shawn Desman, and you're logged on right here to Popularity.
Can you start by describing the making of Fresh and just from the writing to the pre-production and the recording? How would you
Wow.
describe it?
Yeah, I really took the time to really think about what I wanted to do with this record because I wanted to do something cool, something unique, and I didn't want to blend in, to the pack or what everybody else was doing. So, um, just started messing around with a bunch of different sounds, and I worked with a production team from Sweden on this record. And, I'd fly back and forth to Sweden. They'd come to Toronto. And, it was really just messing around with different sounds and, coming up with song title ideas and putting stuff down. And that's kind of how we kind of created the sound of Fresh. So,
hmm
yeah.
Can you talk a bit about how you feel you've changed musically and personally since the
Absolutely.
last?
I think musically, definitely think this record has bigger songs, um, and I think it's less R&B leaning, and it's more
hmm
pop leaning this time. In terms of as a person, I feel, you learn a lot, like especially from having some time off, and you really learn like who really are your friends and who are kind of just there for the
hmm
ride. You know what I mean? So I think personally, I think that's kind of the biggest thing for me. I don't think I've really changed as a person. I think I'm still the same person I was 8 years ago when I put out my record.
hmm
I'm just 8 years older.
hmm Can you talk a bit about some of the highs and the lows that you went through in recording?
um, there's. I think the only lows are. I think when it comes down is sitting there and sometimes beating your brain about an idea or something like that. Or another low is after all the recording is done. Is like picking all the songs that you want to use for the record. It's tough. You know what I mean? There's
hmm
not really any low. Like I love it. This is my job. This is what I do.
Is there one memory in particular that stands out from the creation?
Um, one memory in particular. I think that's a great question. There's a lot of memories. I mean, I think the stuff that you remember is, when, like, for example, Shiver, after we record the demo of Shiver, do the pre-production, you kind of sit back and you listen to it and you're like, you just kind of feel like this is going to be something special. It was the same thing with Night Like This, and, yeah, I think that's what's great about it. You sit back and I almost, like, I remember, here you go. This is a great moment. I'm sorry. Now I'm remembering it, so I'm actually. So I was sitting in a studio in Sweden, and the guys I was working with a different team, and the guys that I had worked with on my whole record were like doing some pre-mixes of the demos. So I was sitting in the studio by myself, and they're sending me stuff, and I'm actually like in tears listening to it just because I couldn't believe how good it sounded. Like just how hard I worked and how long it's been, and it was a moment, and I don't know what hit me at that point. I just felt like this is the music that I'm supposed to be making right now,
Mhm.
so.
Is there anything about the process last time around that you realized, I don't like this, so you made sure you changed it this time?
Um, yeah, I'm very, not tough to work with, but I tend to shut down ideas pretty easily. So this time around, I was really open to other people's stuff, and I kind of, even if I wasn't feeling something, I would kind of just roll with it because you never know. Something else might come out of the idea. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you know what it is? It's when you're working on your own project. Because it's your own project, you just want it to be perfect, right? So,
hmm
I mean, I'm more vocal in that sense where it's like, I'm not sure I would say that, or, when I'm writing for other artists, you're kind of, you have a little more flexibility, I think.
At what point did you realize that the album was done?
Um, I think it comes to the point where, you've recorded a bunch of songs, and I think really and truly, if you wanted to keep going recording, you could keep going, and it is going to get better and better and better. But it has to be at some point where it's like, okay, we really got to put something out. What's the best time to do it? This is cool, and I just feel like you can't really beat your brain over it too much. You know what I mean? There's 11 songs on this record, and I think we picked the strongest
hmm
11 songs. So
What is the biggest challenge that you're facing now?
the biggest challenge I'm facing now, it's a different world. When my last record came out in 2005, I think iTunes was just coming out.
hmm
There was no Facebook, obviously. There was no Twitter, and I'm finding it very challenging. Like that, I'm constantly have to be twittering and sorry, have to be tweeting. It's called have to be tweeting and have to be on my Facebook fan page. It's so important right now. Like, I'm just constantly being reminded because I do forget because I never had to do it, right? So I think that's a huge challenge, and it's almost like, just the way the music industry is right now. I kind of feel like I'm almost starting from scratch. I know I'm not, but it
Mhm.
kind of feels like I am a little bit. But I've just really been blessed that people have received Shiver so well. It's a gold single approaching platinum, and the video was amazing and people loved it. So I'm in that sense I'm really blessed that people didn't forget about Shawn Desman.
Do you ever map out the elements before you start to write?
Um, yes and no. I think, this record in particular is fresh. When you listen to it, the concept of the record is one crazy night falling in love with somebody that maybe you shouldn't have fell in love with. Um, so that was kind of the concept. And when we're writing, we're kind of, how do we do it? I have a bunch of titles. I have like a document on my laptop with just song titles, and we kind of go through them and we listen to the track and we just sing some melodies and just seeing what words work, what words don't. That's kind of how the writing process works.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can you describe your attraction to kind of the pop R&B music?
Um, I always grew up. I grew up listening to and watching Michael Jackson, so that was my favorite, right? And I just feel, I'm a fan of all types of music. I love, electronic. I love rock. I love, some country music. Um, so my attraction, I guess it also has to do with that I'm a performer and I dance as well. I grew up dancing, and I was actually a dancer before this as well. So I guess that kind of brings me there too, because I feel I don't think you really, in order to get Shawn Desman, you have to see a Shawn Desman performance
Hmm.
to really get the whole thing and what I'm really about. You know what I mean? It's a great concert, and it's a lot of work, and like I said, the dancing and all that stuff. So
Are there any songs where it's at the point now where you're just kind of sick of performing it,
over.
but you feel obligated?
Um, I think not that I'm sick of, but what I did for this show was I kind of remixed them up a little bit, like especially Get Ready,
Hmm.
for songs from the first record, basically. Um, it's funny because those songs they're just like lodged in my brain, like the choreography and everything. Like I could never forget that choreography ever. Like no matter how hard I tried. But yeah, for like especially for these shows and when I'm doing them now, I'm doing like kind of updated versions of them. So at least it changes it up a little bit. But people love it. Like especially when Shook as well. Like when Shook
Yeah.
comes on, people go crazy. So you got to give people what they want. So.
Touring with the Backstreet Boys,
Mhm.
what's the coolest part about that for you?
Yeah, I think the coolest part for me is getting in front of so many people. I've never done an arena tour. I've done a kind of arenas here and there, but this is like my first arena tour,
Hmm.
and I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Like I'm supposed to be on an arena stage. Like the show is so amazing. Like I have 3 costume changes within like a half hour, and we're like just constantly moving, and it's fun. It's energetic, and it's cool because the guys are really cool too. I've had the chance to hang out with them on some other occasions, and they're really cool dudes, and it's good to have that as well because there's not really any competition or any animosity going on, so it's cool.
I think is going to sum up 2010.
I think right now, Katy Perry for sure. I'm loving her record. The stuff that I'm hearing, I'm loving her records. Lady Gaga, she's still doing it. It's amazing. The B.O.B. records are huge. I think he's going to be one to look out for. Tayo Cruz as well, man. He just kind of came out of nowhere with those couple singles. Really, really good. I think, but the main one for me is Katy Perry. I know she's a really talented. I know writers that I've worked with work with her on this record, and I just hear she's an amazing songwriter, and I hear the album is really strong.
Hmm.
So looking forward to that one.
Hmm. Summer or winter,
Oh my God, summer.
and why?
I hate winter. I hate the snow. Like, it really puts me in a bad mood. Like when I wake up in the morning and I look outside and I'm like, I gotta go freaking shovel this snow right now. Like it totally ruins my day. I know I shouldn't let it, but it ruins my day.
Batman or Superman,
Batman.
and why?
Dude, he's just more badass. I think it's just cooler. Somebody flying, a guy flying around in a red suit and cape. It's cool and he's strong and stuff, but Batman has all the gadgets.
What exactly would you say you're trying to open people's minds up to with the album?
I'm trying to open people's minds. For example, I tour in Europe a lot and in Germany. And what I love about Europe and what I love about Germany is that they don't care who's up on stage singing the music. It's about the music. My grandmother could be up there, and if it's a hit song, they don't care. They're gonna come out and watch and scream and yell. And it's funny because I feel like the guys are more groupies than the girls are in Germany. And I feel like that mentality should kind of be everywhere where whether it's a guy or a girl singing a song, it's, I'm not out there to f your girlfriend. You know what I mean? I'm out there, I'm doing a job, and I'm loving what I do.